Welcome to part 2 of how to sew a corset from a pair of upcycled jeans. So after I sewed the outer layer together, I went ahead and I cut all of my pattern pieces in the lining fabric. So I chose some of the denim from the outer layer as well as this bright pink novelty print fabric that I picked up from my local Hobby Lobby. As well, I found this really cute separating zipper in a fun color that I felt went really well with my fabric selection. And then once I went ahead and I cut all of my pieces together, I prepped everything and I lined everything up for sewing, making sure that as I was pinning my fabric panels together, I used my notches as a guide to help make sure I was putting the right pieces together. It makes sewing so much more easier and everything goes more smoothly when you do that. And then I went ahead and I sewed my panel pieces together at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And this is what it looks like. I think that denim looks so pretty against the pink. Now I have to prep the zipper for placement on the outer layer of the corset. So I went ahead with the right side of the zipper facing the right side of the outer layer of the corset. That's the denim portion. I went ahead and I pinned it. You want to make sure that the zipper tape is lined up with the edge of your denim fabric. And then once I pinned it in place, I went ahead and I changed out my presser foot on my sewing machine for the zipper foot. Now this is a piping foot, which also works really well as a zipper foot, but if you don't have this, you can just use a standard zipper foot and it works just as well. And so once I went ahead and I attached my zipper to both sides of the corset, this is what it looks like. Now you want to make sure that you leave 5/8 of an inch of a seam allowance at the bottom of the corset as well as the top to make sure that you have room to attach the lining to the outer layer. Next, I'm trimming back my seam allowance just on one side in order to make a casing for my boning. So once I trimmed it back, I went ahead and I pressed and sewed down the other seam allowance, and that's what makes the casing. And I went ahead and I did that for all 6 seams on the corset lining. Now I went ahead and trimmed back my boning and I rounded off the tip so that I wouldn't poke myself, and I inserted it into the corset casing, and I went ahead and I stitched on the top and the bottom of the boning so that it wouldn't shift before I went ahead and I added the lining to the outer layer and sewed those together. Now I went on to go ahead and prepare the bust cup for the lining. I pinned the top portion and to the bottom portion of the bust cup, making sure that, again, the notches are my guide to lining everything up and making sure everything pins down really well. And then I sewed it together. And this is, once I did that, this is what it looks like. And I went ahead and I actually attached the lining portion of the bust cup to the outer portion of the bust cup. And I just pinned it along the top and sewed it only along the top before I went ahead and I flipped it over. And this is what it looks like sewn in. Stay tuned for part 3 where I show you how I attach the bust cup to the panel and the final look. Thank you for watching.